Are you baffled by how complicated Nioh 3 feels? Want to actually master this game? You come to the right place. This is Nioh 3 101. We're gonna cover all the universal stuff first, then dive into specifics for Samurai and Ninja. After watching this video, you'll have a complete understanding of Nioh 3's combat system. First things first, the interface. Look at all this stuff at the bottom of the screen. You've got your life gauge, your ki gauge, your spirit force gauge, your armor gauge, and your guardian spirit skills. So what the hell are all these? Life gauge, of course, no getting around it. When it's gone, you're gone. Ki gauge is basically just your stamina bar. Spirit force gauge, you can think of it like a mana bar, for casting spells. But in Nioh 3, your spells are your guardian spirit skills, which are these two small icons on the left. You choose your guardian spirit at the shrine. You will only have one spirit skill at first, but as you progress through the game, you will meet certain requirements and unlock a second one. You fill this gauge by landing attack. Note that the element of each spirit skill and the unlock requirements are different between Samurai and Ninja. And if you are wondering about the numbers next to the spirit skills, that is the casting cost. Since the spirit force gauge is your mana bar, when you have enough mana, the skill icon lights up. You can turn all these numbers on in the basic settings right here. This big icon is called the armor gauge, but it's actually your living artifact gauge. It's called the armor gauge because you fill it up with armor, either by picking it up from bodies or by attacking enemies. Once the gauge is full, you can take the form of your chosen guardian spirit. When living artifact is activated, all your normal gauges disappear and you get a unique one. It drains over time and it drains faster if you get hit. But during that time, you can't die, you have super armor and you deal massive damage. Once the gauge is depleted, you drop out of guardian spirit form. You can also sheath your weapon to exit early, which leaves you with some armor still in the gauge. Living artifact is kind of like a last resort button. Something you use when you are about to die or want to deal huge damage. That's something you spam all the time. While we at it, during combat, enemies might drop their soul cores. At the shrine, in soul core management, you can slot these soul cores into either Yan or Yin. If you put a soul core in Yan, it becomes a summoning spell, where the soul core manifests and attacks enemies. If you put it in Yin, it turns into a talisman with different properties like elemental damage or buffs, usually matching the soul core's traits. You can equip and activate them from your shortcuts. Now, you probably noticed I moved past the ki gauge rather quick. Not because it is not important, but because the entire combat system of Nioh 3 is built around ki. Unlike most action games, stamina here works more like action points in a tactical RPG. Attacking, dodging, guarding, running, even getting hit, everything costs stamina. And without stamina, basically the only thing you can do is walk around. If taking damage is the reason your ki gauge dropped to 0, you will get stunned, like literally frozen, and enemies can grapple you, which means execution. That's extremely dangerous. So the most critical situation in Nioh 3 isn't running out of life, it's running out of ki. Pretty much every guide out there is really about two things: how to spend your ki efficiently and how to recover it fast. We'll dive into that later in the Samurai and Ninja sections. Speaking of actions that cost ki, you have attacks, guards, dodge, and jumps. On top of that, there are martial arts, or skills. There are 14 weapons total, and every weapon has dozens of martial arts. So 14 weapons, combined with the differences between Samurai and Ninja, create tons of unique playstyles. In this video, we're just covering the basics. We'll dive into specific weapons in future videos. Now, let's talk about enemies. In Nioh 3, there are basically just two types, humans and Yokai. As you can see, they all have a ki type gauge under their life gauge. Just like you, they use ki too, but it works differently. Humans, even bosses, work the same way you do. They spend ki, recover ki, and if your attack drains their ki to 0, the gauge turns red and they get stunned so you can grapple them. So when fighting humans, you want fast moves to keep pressuring them, drain their ki, and grapple. Some human enemies might use skills to break out, but the main idea is the same. Yokai are completely different. Their ki gauge is purple. They don't spend ki to act, and they don't recover ki like humans. You can only drain their ki by hitting them, and they only recover it inside Yokai realms or Dark realms. Since most yokai can be staggered by your attacks, the best way to fight them is to guard and dodge their attacks, then counterattack. Only when their ki hits 0, then they will get staggered. There are exceptions. Some yokai won't even stagger when ki hits 0, but 99% of the time it's true. And here's another mechanic unique to yokai. When their ki gauge turns red, your attack can also reduce their maximum ki. You see another red section appear inside the gauge? During that window, deal as much damage as you can, not just to their life, but especially to their maximum ki. That way, next time it'll be easier to drain their ki again, because their ki gauge got shortened. After a while, they recover some ki and leave a yokai realm on the ground, and you repeat the dodge and counter cycle. So the longer the fight goes, the easier it becomes to break them. Eventually, their maximum ki can drop to 0, and then you can grapple them. This works for most yokai. Low-level yokai don't follow this mechanic and behave more like humans. Also, some humans may act like yokai with super armor, and some yokai can guard like humans, so just deal with them accordingly. As you can see now, combat in Nioh 3 is all about ki control, your ki and your enemy's ki. And here's a very useful tip. Whatever weapon you choose, whatever moves or skills you use, ki damage is always more important than life damage. Those slashes and big hits may look cool, but skills that deal massive ki damage will actually make the game easier. While we're on the subject, enemies also have burst attacks. You can use burst break or style shift to counter or parry them, and later you can use guardian spirit skills to stop them too. Breaking a burst attack deals damage to both life and ki, and also reduces a yokai's maximum ki. One last thing, Nioh 3 has a lot going on. When you're leveling up, just remember constitution means life, heart means ki, stamina means equipment weight. These 3 are universal stats and works for both samurai and ninja. The other 4 stats depend on your build and fighting style. Now, let's move on to samurai. Since we already sorted out that ki control is the most important thing in the game, for samurai, a style that can gobble up ki pretty quickly, the key word here is ki pause. But first, let's look at the interface. At the bottom right corner of the screen, you can see 4 postures. A round gauge in the middle called the arts gauge, and these 3 diamond-shaped icons, which are actually your ninjutsu or ninja tools. Why are they showing up in samurai's interface? We'll get to that later. Back to the postures. High stance deals the most damage, costs the most ki, attacks slow, dodges slow, and is the only stance where your attack won't get deflected by enemy who's guarding. Middle stance deals less damage, costs less ki, and is a bit faster for both attacking and dodging. Low stance deals even less damage, basically a ninja, cause even less ki and has the fastest attacks and dodges. Sheathing your weapon isn't really a stance, but some quick draw skills require you to sheath first. All 3 stances have quick attacks and strong attacks, and when you add the guard button, you get all the combinations for the moves and skills you can use. Hold strong attack, quick attack after strong attack after quick attack, guard plus quick attack, guard plus strong attack. This applies to ninja too. Those are just your basic slice 'em up tools, but like we said, the keyword for samurai is ki pause. If you look at the ki gauge, you will see that with every move, a blue part of your ki gauge disappears and turns red. Then a yellow part starts filling up the red section. If you don't do anything, once the yellow part fully fills the red part, that whole section of ki is gone. And after about a second, the ki gauge slowly starts recovering. If you're doing a combo, the blue parts keep disappearing, but the red part doesn't follow exactly. It only decreases a little. If you do 2 moves in a row that aren't a combo, then the red part disappears together with the blue part. That is basically how ki consumption works. But if that was the case, samurai would feel really sluggish. So this is where ki pause comes in. When the yellow part of your ki gauge is filling the red part, you would also see a blue light surrounding you. During that window, before the yellow part completely fills the red part, if you press ki pause, the blue part of your ki instantly recovers to wherever the yellow part is at that moment. Also, it ends your attack recovery early. And if you press ki pause right when the yellow part almost filled the red part, when the blue light is about to flow back into your body, the entire red section recovers instantly. After that, your ki starts regenerating. This is a full recovery. You can also see an extra blue flash and echo. That means you did a maximum recovery, or even beyond maximum recovery. What does that mean? As you can imagine, during combat, you can't always wait for the yellow part filling up. You need to keep pause early and act fast, so maximum recovery every time is clearly not ideal. Hence, Flux. In Samurai's skill tree, you will see Flux and Flux 2. Key pause and stance change use the same button, so if you change stance while pausing, that's Flux, and it recovers more ki. Flux 2 means while holding the key pause button, you change stances twice, which recovers even more ki. So Flux and Flux 2 are actually the real key pause you should be using during combat. But for Flux 2, you can't just switch to another stance and back. For example, if you're in high stance, you can't go mid and then back to high. That doesn't count. Flux 2 only counts stances you weren't already in. So if you want to return to your original stance, you normally have to change 3 times after you move, which is too slow. But there's a trick. During your attack animation, switch to low stance first, then after the move, go mid to high. That counts as Flux 2. Yeah, it's a little weird, but that is how it works. Lastly, later in the game, you can unlock a skill where you can use dodge to do key pause too, but you can't use dodge to Flux. Now the second keyword for Samurai is arts proficiency. Remember that round gauge in the middle? That is your arts gauge. You fill it by landing attacks, guarding. Once it's full, you can activate it using strong attacks or martial arts. Basically your skills in any stance. It enhances your attacks and the first move doesn't consume any ki. What do I mean by first move? Look at this. Different martial arts can be used consecutively. That's right, every strong attack and every martial arts, as long as you don't repeat the same one back to back, can be chained together. Arts proficiency isn't a one-time thing. After your first move, the arts gauge starts decreasing, but if you land another move during that time, it fills back up again. Your ki consumption is also reduced while it is active, which means you can use more martial arts before running out of ki. This is extremely strong burst damage if you find the right window, so line up the skills you want to use, build the muscle memory, and unleash everything at the right time. There you have it with Samurai. It's all about flow and rhythm. Key pause and flux are for recovery, moves and deflects build your arts gauge, and arts proficiency is for damage. Now if all this Samurai stuff is giving you a headache, you're gonna love Ninja. Ninja does use ki, but all the stance, pause, and flux stuff is gone. You only have one stand. You don't need to pause anything. Just wait for your ki to recover like in any other action game. So it's attack and recover, hit and run. Still, let's look at the interface first. Ninja is pretty simpler. 3 diamond-shaped gauges with ninjutsu or ninja tools. This is Ninja's arts gauge. Ninja has 3 types of arts. Ninja tool arts for range damage, physical arts for maneuvers and stagger skills, and shadow arts for elemental damage. Since you can only bring 3 arts at a time, trying different combinations and seeing what works is the most fun part of Ninja. And that round icon at the bottom right corner, remember earlier when Samurai also had those 3 diamonds? You guessed it. You can fill the arts gauge using Ninja, and you can also fill the ninjutsu gauge with Samurai. That's how Nioh 3 is meant to be played. Depending on the situation, you should constantly switch between Samurai and Ninja for maximum output. Now back to Ninja. Unlike Samurai, its entire playstyle is built around ki pause. Ninja works more like a trinity. 3 core mechanics that combined into one playstyle. First mechanic, mist. After Ninja attacks, white threads surround you, just like Samurai's blue light. During this time, if you press the ki pause button, you will mist. Mist has to follow an attack, but it costs no ki, cancels attack recovery, and immediately starts your ki regeneration. And on top of that, Mist has invisibility frames, so they can use as a dodge. Second mechanic, evade. If you dodge an enemy's attack at the exact moment, you perform an evasive move that restores some ki and fills your arts gauge a bit. And if successful, evade has a very long invisibility window, so for 2 fast attacks, Samurai might have to deflect twice, while Ninja only needs to evade once. Third mechanic, arts. If you use any ninja art, you notice none of them cost ki. That is the whole system. The entire ninja playstyle is this loop. We have full ki, use normal attacks. After you spend some ki and need to get out, mist to cancel and start recovering. If an attack comes in, evade. Then back off and use arts from a distance while your ki refills. then jump back in and start attacking again to fill your ninjutsu arts gauge. It is a smooth, continuous loop, and with ninja's mobility, weapon skills, and physical arts, you have many means to circle behind enemies and deal triple damage. That is Nioh. Always moving, always attacking on the way, never standing still. So that covers the basics of Nioh 3 combat system, the universal stuffs, samurai, and ninja. Once you master both styles, you can combine them and handle different situations like we talked about earlier. Hope this Nioh 3 101 helps you out. If you liked it, hit that like button and leave a comment. Let me know if you want more content like this. Love you all.